So this is Poranek Kojota episode 17, and oh my fucking god, do I have a treat for you guys. Because let me just say that it's over 3,600 penalty minutes and counting, and that's AHL, ECHL, CHL, KHL, WHL, you name it, and one of the most violent leagues in the world, which is of course LNH. And my guest tonight is the man, the myth, the legend, John Nasty Mirasty. How are you doing, brother?
Not too bad. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm great. Today's a good day. Have you been watching the playoffs?
Slightly. I watched a little bit last night. Both my teams won. I'm going for the New York Rangers and the Colorado Avalanche. So
Mm-hmm.
so both my teams are up 1-0 right now. So it's looking good.
Yeah, that's great. So you're rooting for the Rangers, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm a good. I was a good friend with Panarin there from when I played in the KHL and stuff. So I'm rooting for him. But there's guys pretty much on every team that I'm close to. Tampa Bay has Victor Hedman and Ryan McDonough, who I both played with in Kazakhstan in the KHL, and then they also have Patrick Maroon, who I played with in the American Hockey League. So it's fun to watch those guys succeed, and so really whoever wins. Edmonton's also a team that's close to me in Canada. So right now it doesn't really matter who wins. It's just enjoyable to watch see guys succeed.
Sure. I mean, just like 3 Stanley Cups. I mean, Pat Maroon, right? Is that good?
he's doing good, that's for sure, eh?
Oh yeah. I mean, Jesus, I
Except,
can.
except last night I seen him he was trying to stir the game up a little bit, trying to get rough, but I think Ryan Reeves might have chilled him up.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. But it's always so cool. It's always so cool that when Enforcer gets a success like this. I mean, because you guys are usually really underappreciated, right? And your careers don't last so long, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. So no, it's always good to see old teammates do good. So I enjoy watching those guys play.
yeah, except for you guys, except for
Yeah,
you, and because you're turning 40, right?
I'm
Uh,
gonna be
and you're
2 more
still,
days.
yeah, and you're still an active player. Oh my
A
God.
little bit, play a little bit here and there, yeah. But I'm getting older.
Yeah, well, we all are, but uh,
Uh,
it's good to see you still playing. I hope you play till you're like fucking 50 or 60 or however long you want to play.
I don't know if I'll make it that long in life.
Yeah. Well, my,
Yeah.
my 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 first question is, do you know anything about Polish Hockey League? Did you know that there's even a thing called Polish Hockey League?
Actually, I had a younger cousin named Blaine. He went to some school there, and I know he was telling me they had some kind of Polish hockey league that he was trying to become a part of. And so, yeah, I'm not very familiar with it, but I do know my little cousin was there for a few months playing, going to school, and he was telling me about the hockey league there. So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
I think in 2006, because he played for the Syracuse Crunch, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And there was actually Adam Bożencki, who was our defenseman. He was drafted by the Columbus Blue Jackets, and he played in the AHL that year too. And that's probably as close as we got to NHL since Krzysztof Oliva. I don't know if you remember the guy, the
Yeah, no, I
the,
remember
the
Christoph
Polish
Olive,
Hammer.
yeah.
I mean the guy could hit like motherfucker. Oh God,
He was
crazy.
he was rock solid.
Oh yeah, I mean he was crazy. That guy was not normal. Yeah, he was fucked up in the head pretty much. Yeah, I mean I never saw, well except you, I never saw a person like smiling when fighting. It's like Jesus. And by the way, you
Yeah,
smile when you fight. And my question is, you fought Derek Bugart, and
yeah,
you
yeah,
smiled
yeah.
when fighting Derek Bugart. I mean Todd Federer, who called you a pretty crazy man. Jesus. Why,
Yeah,
why,
yeah.
why smiling? Is that a thing? Were you like training? Is that, do you want it to make it like kind of a signature for you, or is this just like come up naturally?
It's just natural, I enjoy doing it. I'm in my element when I do it, and a lot of guys you hear them talk on podcasts and stuff that say they love fighting. They'll fight anytime or any place, and I'm going to tell you right now, I fought all those guys, and when I was in the penalty box, I always say, okay, we're going to go next shift again, and they'd say, no, I'm done. So I call bullshit. I call bullshit on a lot of the guys that say they were going to fight. They love fighting and they'll fight anytime as much. I've had a lot of those guys that I've witnessed on podcasts say, no, I'll never turn down a fight, and they've turned down fights. So I call bullshit on some of those guys, but No, and actually, believe it or not, back when hockey was tougher, my first year pro, I got called to the East Coast. I was 20 years old, and very first game I got in a fight, and I was just a young kid, and I did really good. I ended up beating the shit out of the guy, but the whole time I smiled. So instantly I became a fan favorite that first game. And after the game, I actually got called in the coach's office. Nervous kid, just got my first game pro, and coach told me to sit down. He says, I promise you, if you smile like that every fight, you're not going to be playing in this league very long. You're going to be getting called up to the higher levels, and you're going to make a lot of money doing this game. So it was kind of a signature for me, but it just comes naturally, Don't get me wrong, I'm scared. There's times where I'm scared when I'm fighting, but you have to be scared a little bit to fight, because if you're not scared of your opponent, you're not in the right place. So a lot of it might be nerves, but I also enjoy it. I've never been a guy that's been addicted to drugs or really got into drugs. So I think that was my adrenaline rush. My high was dropping the gloves and having that fear factor of going to war and putting a show on. So yeah, it just kind of came naturally to me.
Wow, amazing. Well, because you was never, you call bullshit on a lot of players, right? Is that the reason why you have never been on Spit and Chicklets? You know what I'm referring to, right? I'm referring to John Mirasty Paul Bissonnette fight. I saw you call bullshit on Paul because he called reps, right? Because you cut him open. Right? Yeah, I think you broke his nose.
I fought Paul a few times actually back in the day, and I love seeing the success that he's doing too. The guy went from being a fourth line hockey player to one of the most popular guys on podcasting all over the world. So he's done really well. And speaking of Spit and Chicklets, I just actually just finished doing a television TV series called Shoresy.
Yeah, I saw the trailer. I mean, geez, can't wait to see it. I know it's already aired, but wow.
Yeah. I'm supposed to be representing the Shoresy crew on Spit and Chicklets, so we've just been yet to confirm a date or time. So I'm sure I'll be on there down the road sometime.
Are you going to mention it?
Oh, of course. I like the bust. Like I said, I have the most respect for Paul Bissonnette. He's done awesome. The only thing I joke around is I always say I'm the real nasty, because he calls himself Biz Nasty, but but no, I love watching the guy. I mean, he's great at talking. He's great at publicity. He's done wondrous things, and he's doing quite well for himself. So he's another guy that I like to see the success that he's doing. So it's awesome.
Yeah, and he is a Coyotes ambassador, and I love him for it so much, especially in this difficult times for the franchise, right? Oh my God, the things I have to do to remain a Coyotes fan. Oh my God. Hey, speaking of which, let's talk about you a bit more. Because first stat I see about you is 1990-2000, and that was your first pro year, right?
99-2000. Oh, that would have been my first year junior.
Okay.
Junior, I would have been 16 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, I was playing with the Kindersley Clippers in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League.
Right. It's so even better. And you've got over 300 penalty minutes playing your junior. I mean, first, what the fuck? and second, did you ever consider yourself becoming a future idol? Was there any point in your career that you actually could consider yourself a potential, I don't know, goal scorer, sniper, playmaker, or whatever, or was fighting instantly your thing?
No, actually, growing up, minor hockey as a young kid, I was always one of the best players on the team. Scored lots of goals, and that might have actually hurt me because I was invited to junior camps at a very young age. But I had two older cousins that played professional hockey, and they were both enforcers, and so they were sometimes coming and running those junior camps as that, and they were making me fight when I probably should have been scoring goals. And, I ended up just being really good at fighting. I was not the biggest guy on the ice, but I could take a punch, and I loved to give a punch. So, next thing you know, I went to my first junior camp, and I think I fought 6 times, and I think I was 16 years old or 15 years old at the time, and I fought the 20-year-old captain and gave him a dirty licking. And right after that camp, I was called into the coach's office, and he said, "I've never seen a young kid do that." He says, "Do we want you to play for us. So I stepped into junior at a very young age, and then, you know, eventually took on that fourth line role where I was out there to fight and kind of, you know, lost my skill set, I guess you can say. But, you know, to play at the levels of hockey that I've played at, you have to have some kind of skill, you know, and I had the opportunity to play, you know, at some pretty high levels. Got a few games in the NHL, you know, an exhibition season. So, yeah, you know, and then going home and playing some senior hockey, I actually led the leagues in scoring. So it kind of just goes to show, you know, that even in Forster, when I played professional hockey, you know, I'm able to score some goals and do good. So, you know, playing senior hockey back home with some pretty good players, you know, Dwight King's out there, DJ King, Mike Siklinka, you know, there's a lot of good caliber hockey players that are playing in those leagues, and, you know, I was able to score a lot of goals. So, you know, I do have it in my arsenal.
Wow, that was pretty cool. And the first fight I saw you in was you against John Scott.
Okay.
And I saw that, I was, no, you're not doing this. I mean, you can't be serious. I mean, this guy is a fucking giant. And I seriously thought that he's gonna fucking stomp you or something. And then, after like 5 or 6 seconds, I saw that John's really struggling, and it's not so easy for him. I remember John said that the toughest player he had to fight was called Noor. And no idea why he didn't mention you, because actually, wow, you threw a couple of good punches. And how do you fight a guy that's actually probably 3 heads taller than you?
Yeah, I know. You know, to be honest, the bigger guys I always found easier to fight because, you know, you can read their punches more. They throw way further back. I don't think they have as much heart, to be honest. The toughest guys that I fought were always the smaller guys that were closer to my size. You know, they come in closer, they throw faster.
Are you calling John Scott soft?
No. I mean, he's obviously done well for himself too, but I don't think he was a killer, to be honest. I fought a lot of more tougher guys than John Scott in my day, but you know, he's obviously done well for himself too, and you know, even to see the successes that he's had, you know, to be on the All-Star game and to be you know, doing a lot of public speaking now, it's great to see. But you know, he's obviously a big tough man. Anybody that did the job that I did, it takes a lot of balls and courage, you know, to be able to put it all on the line for your team and in front of fans, like, you know, especially at the higher levels where you're getting 10 to 15 to 20,000 fans a game, to be able to take that courage to drop the gloves and, you know, anybody can lose. I don't care who you fight. It just takes one punch, you know, and that's, you know, the older you got and when you're at the top of the food chain, that was some of the worries you had because some young guy, it just takes one punch on the right spot and you could go down. So it is one of the toughest jobs in sports, I have to say.
Was there ever a fight after which you thought that maybe it's time to stop before you could get seriously hurt?
Never,
not once.
Not once.
I saw all those interviews like David Carcillo. I hope, Kevin Westgard, Todd Federer. They all said that they were like shit scared before each and every fight, and they were stressed as hell, and like they probably thought that like almost every fight they thought like maybe this should be the last one, especially Kevin Westgard, where he actually got his face smashed by John Scott.
I'm on a pause.
Yeah, okay, we're good.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so sorry, what we were talking about.
We're talking about being scared. I asked you, was there ever a fight after which you thought it would be a good idea to be done with it?
No, but like how you were saying earlier, you know, the stress, fighting was a really hard job, but I found the hardest part wasn't the fight itself. It was the stress leading up to the fight, you know. So, you know, if it was Wednesday night and I knew that we were playing Steve McIntyre on Friday night, you know, it was really stressful those 2 days prior. You know, all you did was sleep and think about, you know, who you had to fight, and you know, those are some big boys you're fighting. You're worried about, you know, those guys couldn't knock you out with one punch, and you know, but once you actually got to the fight and did the fight, I used to laugh and say, I did all that stress the last 2 days for nothing because, you know, it was a rush. I enjoyed it, and you know, you take some, you'll go down. I don't care who you are. Everybody loses a fight. but it's how you rebound. And, when I did get beat bad, I wasn't thinking about, oh, I better not do this anymore. All I was thinking about was, fuck, I'm going to go fight that guy again and I'm going to beat him next time. That was my mentality. I never got down. It was how I wanted to, fire back and rebound back and bounce backs from a loss. So, but yeah, you get some, I've got some good injuries over the years. I broke my jaw. I was knocked out a couple times, but I always rebounded back and came back stronger.
Oh, wow, that's perfect. Wow. I mean, I can't imagine, because that's probably the only team sports, maybe except for lacrosse, where you're actually allowed to beat the living shit out of the other person with your bare hands.
That's why it's the greatest game on earth. Or I should say was the greatest game on earth.
Why was?
I'm not a big fan of the hockey nowadays. They've eliminated a lot of the fighting. There's no more real passion. There's no more hatred, guys. It'll be 6-0, and back when I played, if it was 6-0, we were going out there to make a statement for the next game. But now it's 6-0. They'll throw their power play unit out there to score more goals, and I just find that they've kind of eliminated the tough guy's role.
I think that Pat Maroon tried to do that on Ryan Reeves, right, the last night.
Yeah.
But it looked kind of lame, to be honest.
And there's a good example though. You just named two guys that are considered tough guys now. Ryan Reeves and Pat Maroon. But
yeah.
back in the day, Pat Maroon was no tough guy. He was a big solid guy that could play the game pretty well, but by no means was he considered a tough guy.
Wow.
Same thing with Ryan Reeves. I don't think he's very tough, to be honest. I watch him now, and yeah, he's tough in today's game, but 10 years ago when you had Steve McIntyre and those big name guys, he was at the bottom of the totem pole.
Wow. So do you miss Bob Probert times?
Oh, Bob Probert, I think that guy was a killer.
Oh yeah, he was.
He had a hell of a career.
But he also had demons, right? And
everyone has demons. Everyone's fighting a battle that no one knows anything about.
Yeah.
Obviously he had some of his own issues. We all do. It's just how you handle them, right? And going back to you talking about Daniel Cursillo and Westgarth and those guys, they're against fighting in hockey now. I call bullshit on that. It's the way we made our living. It's who made who I am. It defined my person and myself. I don't regret it one bit what I did. I enjoyed every bit of it. Yeah, it was a tough role, but I enjoyed it. I was paid well for it. And it made me who I am today.
Maybe also you were lucky enough to stay healthy, or fairly healthy, right, throughout your career. And I think not all of these guys were this lucky, right?
That's true. I'm not disrespecting the guys. I don't like when guys shit on fighting. That made her. You have a lot of these guys made a career out of it their whole career, and now that they're done, they're trying to put fighting in hockey down, and I completely disagree with that. If you didn't like to fight when you played, then don't fight. It was a choice.
Sure.
I wasn't forced to fight. If I didn't want to fight, yeah, I probably couldn't have played because I wasn't maybe good enough to play the game on skill alone. But I would have just said, okay, well, if it's not for me, then guess what? I'll go do something else. I'll go to school. I'll find a different career path. So sure. I respect those guys for what they did, but I always hate hearing guys put down fighting in hockey and to say, oh, it doesn't belong in the game, because it damn right belongs in the game. It held people accountable, and you're losing that now.
Of course.
You're getting a lot more. You're getting a lot more guys running around and taking liberties on players where, 10 years ago they wouldn't do that because they knew they'd have to answer the bell to one of us.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Well, I agree completely. I was also raised by 90s hockey, and I guess I see where you're coming from. That makes pretty much that makes a whole sense in the world to me. Hey, speaking of, in 2006, you were actually, at least I read somewhere that you were actually planning on retiring, and
yep.
You switched from LNH to AHL. I mean, how the hell do you do that? I mean, that happens almost never, right? From LNH, which is minor league hockey,
yep.
to AHL, which is minor league hockey that most of the players couldn't even dream about. So How do you do that? How did you accomplish that?
It was kind of weird, I was ready at that time to call her quits in hockey. I was playing, in the LNH, and it just, like you said, it was the lower minors where you're not really making I was making good money playing there, don't get me wrong, but I just thought, it was about probably 25 or 26 at the time. I thought maybe it's time for me to move on. And I was actually offered a really good coaching job in junior hockey. So I took it, and I was, like I said, I had called quits on hockey, and I took this junior coaching job, and I know I was playing an exhibition season. Well, I wasn't playing; I was coaching exhibition season, and I got a phone call from the Columbus Blue Jackets, saying that, we'd love for you to come play with our American League affiliate team, and what do you think? And so I thought long and hard about it, and I said, well, this is an opportunity that not many guys get, so why don't I try my chances, and that's kind of what I did. I
Nice.
took the chance, and and I ended up reviving my career, and playing 4, 5, 6 years in the American Hockey League.
Oh, that's
And I went
something. That's something.
yeah, and then I went on to play a few years in the KHL, and so it ended up working out well for me.
Yeah. Oh, and I want to talk about NHL because sorry, KHL, because you played for Baris Astana, and this is one of the most probably most fucked up teams I heard about, because there was like a few years ago there was this thing when they actually sacrificed the goat, and they actually shed the goat's blood behind I think the guest's net. Did you hear about it? Did you ever
I,
witness
I,
stuff like
I've
that?
never I've never witnessed anything like that at all. Never.
Tell me
That's the
tell
first.
me the craziest, the weirdest story playing in KHL in Russia, well in Kazakhstan, right? That was Kazakhstan, right?
Well, the first year I actually played in Vitez Chekhov, which was right
Yeah.
by Moscow. But I can write a book about playing in Russia. I was there. I loved it. I enjoyed it. I was treated really well. But as stories go, I mean, I had lots of stories. There was a story, not really a crazy fucked up story, but there was a story when I fought Josh Gratton. This was the first year in Vitez, where my daughter was born. My daughter's now 10 years old, but she was born, and my wife was having trouble in back home. She was living in New York still, going to school.
Okay.
And I had to fly home because my wife was struggling, so I asked the team if I could go home for a week or two, or a week, just to go kind of help my wife out. And we were supposed to play Barisa-Stana at the time. And Josh Gratton had played there, and they were the only team in the KHL that had a pretty tough lineup as well, because we had myself, we had Kip Brennan, we had Nick Tarnowski, we had Kip Brennan,
Yeah.
Jeremy Blount. We had a tough team, and we were going to be playing Barisa-Stana, who had Josh Gratton and Chris Simon, and so anyways.
Chris
it was kind of a
Simon,
game
oh
where
my God.
and I was supposed to be, it was a game where I should have been at, but I said, my wife was struggling, so I thought, I better see if I can go home. So I had asked the ownership if it was okay, and they were a little bit, they said yeah, but they understood, so they let me fly home, with the thoughts that we were going to have Yablonsky and Kip Brennan in the lineup because, like I said, they had a pretty tough team,
Yeah.
the opposing team. So I flew all the way home to New York from Moscow, which, it's like a 14-hour flight, 12-hour time difference. And so I flew home, and I was only in New York for, I think, 4 hours. And I turned on the TV, and I was watching Sportsnet. And I don't know if you remember, but that's when Jeremy Yablonsky and Kip Brennan got a pretty big suspension in the KHL.
They were banned from KHL or something, right?
Yeah, they were banned. So
For life?
they were. It ended up getting reduced to like 30 games or something. But originally, it was. Originally it was a lifetime suspension. So that's when I had asked my. Oh shoot! Hold on a sec. So
Yeah, no problem.
sorry. Oh, there's my grandma.
Okay.
I'm visiting in Phoenix right now.
Nice.
But yeah. So anyways, back to the story. I was in New York, waiting for this phone or watching TV, and I seen this big suspension. So right away, my phone rings because, you know, that was a game on Wednesday, but on Friday they were supposed to be playing the what do you call it? The Barista team. So sure enough, you know, 2 o'clock in the morning, my Skype, that's the reason I have Skype right now that we're talking about now. That's how we communicated back then for, you know, through each other.
Sure.
So anyways, my Skype went off at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and it was Jeremy Yablonsky. He's like, did you see what happened? And I'm suspended for 30 games, or I got a lifetime suspension. He goes, Sasha, that was the team owner's son who spoke English. He's going to call you, so answer your phone.
Mm-hmm.
And this is 2 o'clock. I've only been in New York for, you know, 5 hours. So sure enough, you know, 5 minutes later, my phone rings, and it's Sasha now saying, you know, we need you to come back to Russia. And I've only been in New York for, like I said, I just flew all the way across the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh my God.
And I went for supper, and I was in bed with my wife. And they're like, you have to come back, you know, ASAP. You have to be here for Friday. And you got to remember, in Russia, they're 12 hours ahead of us, right? So
yeah.
It was already Thursday in Russia, and I'm thinking, Sasha, that's impossible. I can't make it. I can't make it back by, you know, your game tomorrow. And he's like, try. You got to make sure you try. And I said, okay, well, I'll look at flights. So I got back on the computer, and it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm looking for flights, and I can only find one flight. It was like $14,000. It was first class. So I called Sasha, and I'm like, Sasha, I said, there's only one flight for me to come back, and I'm barely going to make it. And it's I'm not paying $14,000 for a flight. He said, just pay it, we'll reimburse you. So I said, all right, well, I'll try. So I got on the phone, or, you know, on the computer at 4 a.m, booked my flight. So long story short is I had to get on a plane at about 6 a.m. So I was only home for about 7 or 8 hours. Get on this flight. I flew to from LaGuardia, which is in New York City. I flew to Warsaw, Poland, which was the long flight.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually late when I got to Warsaw, Poland. I missed my connecting flight to get to Moscow. So when I landed in Warsaw, it's Friday, you know, at like 2 p.m. now. And I'm like, Sasha, there's no way I'm going to make it to Moscow by 5 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game. He says, just try. So anyways, I went to the concierge desk, and they ended up getting me a flight from Warsaw, Poland to St. Petersburg, Moscow. And then from St. Petersburg, Moscow to from St. Petersburg, Russia to Moscow. So I landed in Moscow. It was like 5:30 p.m. And
wow.
the game's supposed to be at 7 p.m. The guys are already at the dressing room getting ready for the game, and I'm still in Moscow, and I have to, you know, Moscow's like New York City, the traffic on a Friday. And so I called Sasha. I said, Sasha, I'm in Moscow, but I'm never going to make it. He says, just leave your checked-in luggage. We'll get someone to get it later. There's a vehicle waiting for you outside. So I ran outside, and there's 2 police cars with an SUV in the middle. I got into this SUV, and they transported me through traffic all the way to Vitez to make the game. But when I got to the rink, the guys were already on the ice warming up, and there was a rule in the KHL that I had to be on the ice for warm-ups in order to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to get dressed as fast as I could and get on the ice for warm-ups for like 2 minutes. I got on the ice. I did a couple laps for warm-ups, and I came off the ice. And when I got off, I fainted because I was so tired because I've been up for like 24 hours.
Wow.
So after I kind of went and put some water on my face and kind of woke up, I got called into the office, and they said, well, you know what we brought you here for, right? I said, yep. So I said, okay, first, I don't want to play hockey. I just going to go fight him, and I want to get undressed and sleep. So very first shift, I fight Josh Gratton, and you can watch it on YouTube. I did quite well.
I saw that.
Yeah, I can say I beat him pretty clearly. I broke his nose and stuff. So
yeah,
fought Josh Gratton, did that, and then we went and served the penalty in the penalty box. And you're allowed 2 fights in Russia, then you get kicked out. So in the penalty box, I looked at Gratton. I said, "We're going to go a game." And he's like, "No, we're not going again." And but he doesn't understand that I just flew across the fucking world to fight him.
Right.
And then so whatever. So we serve our 5 minutes, go back to the bench. One of the teams scored. Can't remember if it was us or them. But then I looked at Nazarov, who was our head coach. I said, "Okay, he's out there. I want to go fight him again." So I I only had 2 shifts and 2 fights, and after the game, I remember thinking, "Fuck, am I tired?" Like I was up, like I said, I was up for 24 hours
Oh
flying
God,
across.
the
I
jet
flew all the
lag,
way across.
the jet lag
Yeah, I
on
flew
you
across.
must have been.
Yeah, yeah. I flew across the ocean to get to New York, and I was there for 5 hours, and then I flew all the way back to come and fight. But anyways, long story short is, I after the game, I ended up getting to stay. The team ended up having to leave on a road trip. The owner let me stay, and I slept for like a day, and then I got on a flight, and I flew back to America for about 2 weeks or a week, and when I got back, I got a nice $50,000 bonus for that one trip, so it worked out well.
Wow,
But
that's awesome.
but
So
there's
they brought you just to fight. So they really cared about Enforcer that much that they wanted to bring
well,
him for just this one fight.
well, there was a lot behind that game because Josh Gratton was actually played with us the year before, or not with us. I wasn't on the team, but the year before he played for Vitesse, so they kind of wanted me there, because he was a tough guy for the team us before. So they wanted someone there. But when Kip, Brennan, and Yablonski both got suspended, they had nobody. So they're like, okay, well, you got to get back here. So
Oh, right.
that's always kind of one of the funnier stories because people don't realize that I flew across the ocean just to do a couple fights.
Wow. I mean, oh God, I'm speechless. Wow, the thing you did, the things you do for hockey, right?
Yeah.
And then you're ending up not wanting playing hockey, right? Just fighting.
Yeah, you betcha.
Wow.
I didn't want to. I didn't want to play. I had no energy. I was so tired. I was jet lagged. I just wanted to go to bed.
Sure, I can imagine. Hey, which brings
Yeah.
me to because you're mentioning Josh Gratton, right? I already
Yep.
mentioned Derek Bugart. I already mentioned you actually fought Derek Bugart's brother, and I didn't know
Yeah.
Derek Bugart had a brother, but yeah. Well, God rest his soul. One of the toughest. Oh my God, was he a beast or what? Uh, you mentioned Paul Bissonnette, right? And
Yep.
John Scott, and well, all of these guys have NHL careers on them, like NHL years on them. So I saw you in the preseason games also fighting Josh Gratton,
Yep.
among others. Still, you're not making you don't have a single regular season game in NHL on you, and that's mystery to me. How come? I mean, you probably outfought all of these guys.
Yeah, like I said, I think I had a pretty good career. I don't regret my career at all. But, I came in at a time when they were, after that first lockout in 04, 05, they were slowly trying to eliminate the game. Another thing that probably hurt me is being at the right place at the right time. There's a lot of guys that I know I'm a hell of a lot tougher than and just as good of a hockey player. But, there's a lot of politics in hockey as well. You have to be at the right situation with the right coach that wants to use you. So, I never really did get my cup of coffee in regular season, but, just being able to go there and my size too might have hurt me. I'm only 5'10", where, most of those guys you mentioned are 6'5" or 6'6". So, there's different scenarios, but, there's nothing I regret about my career.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
but
I met lots of people.
but you know what?
It was,
It's really weird because I mean, if I am the NHL team manager or whatever, I would
yeah,
really love to have like next generation Ty Domi on my team, right? Like
yeah,
the Ty Domi, right? The really not the tallest guy of them all, fighting like a beast, like kicking the living shit out of anybody, out of everyone,
yeah,
and still, and then comes John Mirasty and the Columbus Blue Jackets, who also, if I remember correctly, they had a few good Christoph Oliva among them, a few good
yeah,
enforcers. So it's really weird to me that they never were called up for even one game. I mean, we're talking Josh Gratton, and Josh. I mean, all due respect, he wasn't like a really monster hockey player, right? Just a good
yeah,
enforcer and stuff, right?
yeah,
I have no idea in what way you were, so to speak, worse
yeah.
than them. This makes no
I,
sense to me. I mean, maybe
yeah.
you got under someone's skin. Maybe you called bullshit one time too many, or
Yeah, who knows? I don't know, but I think a lot of it was a timing. I think if I played 10 years earlier, I would have been a full-time NHL player.
oh, for sure.
It's just, the game was changing. And like I said, from 2000, that lockout year in 2004, 2005, you just slowly seen them eliminate that role, right? I mean, it took another 10 years to really eliminate it now. But like I said, there's no real heavyweights in the NHL now. You know, you have a lot of these hockey fight sites where you watch, you know, they're calling them their super heavyweights, and I mean, I've never heard of some of those guys, but you know, and that's not taking anything away from them. They're all, you know, the game's a lot faster and more skilled now. It just took that element of toughness away, you know, that, you know, and another thing that they never mentioned, you know, they always called the tough guys, you know, they're goons and savages and they're violent.
Yeah.
But every team that I played on, you know, I you know, and other players I speak for, other enforcers, you know, they were always, you know, always winning awards in the community for, you know, what they give back to the youth and what they give back to the community. So,
Sure.
you know, the most of the enforcers that I knew were probably some of the best guys on the hockey teams, you know, that gave back and really gave back to the community. So I think that's what you're going to lack a lot of now.
Yeah, I mean, I heard a lot of stories. I even heard that Pisane back when he played for the Coyotes, even when he was a healthy scratch, he would come to the locker room just to play music for the guys, just like to be the nice guy. And every time I hear about an enforcer, I know that all I hear people saying or the players saying is just like he was the nicest guy ever. He was like the best guy of them all, and like, geez, that's the funniest. I mean, that's the funniest, maybe the saddest part. Like when you think about Bob Probert, right? Everyone thought like this guy must be like it might be like a crazy psycho or something, when he was actually a really, really nice guy, right? The same you could say probably about, I don't know, Tom Wilson. He's not exactly the enforcer, but one of the tougher guys these days in the NHL. So you call bullshit on a lot of people, on a lot of players, and are you calling bullshit on Nick Delorier?
I don't even know who that is, to be honest.
No shit. Seriously?
Yeah, no, I don't have a clue who that is.
Oh God, are you what?
I don't watch much hockey no more, to be honest. I don't really pay. You know, I turn on hockey when the playoffs start, and it's a couple teams that I like. I might watch a period here or there, but I can't remember this last time I sat down and watched a whole hockey game, to be honest.
And that's all because of this lack of toughness that you're used to in your playing days?
Oh no, not at all. No, not at all. I mean, yeah, that's a lot to do with it. But I have no interest in the game no more. You know, it's just, it's. I like the physical aspect of the game. You know, and I'm not trying to just say fighting, but like the big hits and, you know, the intensity, and when, you know, when teams really hated each other and there was rivalries, and, you know, now it's not really like that. It's, you know, I don't want to watch a team score 8 goals and not one fight, or, you know, or even now if there's ever a big hit, everyone's saying, oh, that's a dirty hit, when that wasn't a dirty hit, that was a good hit.
Yeah.
You know, the game's just so different now, and, you know, every time there's a big hit, there's a suspension or a fine, and it's like, wow, for that? I mean, shit, I would have been fined every single game then.
You probably would.
So,
But
you know, I'm not taking anything away. I mean, the guys are obviously skilled to the T's, you know, with what they're doing. But it's not my game. I like the physical aspect of the big hits, the fights, the intensity, and the game really lacks that now. So just nothing against me. I mean, a lot of people enjoy it still, and that's good for them. I just don't enjoy watching finesse hockey. I like the old school hockey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. I think Alexei Kovalyev, one time he said that it's actually the game has changed and now it turned into some kind of corporation hockey when like everyone looks pretty much the same. The goalies play in the same way, which is actually true when you think about, I don't know, Dominik Hasek back in the days, right? He looked nothing like any other. He was different for all other goalies, right? And also like there were actually enforcers, the people that actually your job was to actually defend other guys, right? Today you could say the same, but I don't think it's the same way. I think you have to be probably more skilled, and like you said, things that you did back in the 2000s and late 90s or whatever, now they seem like a mass murder, right? A double homicide or whatever, right?
Well, I you know, playing in the LNH, you know, I was in bench brawls, and, you know, guys would be getting thrown in jail now for what we used to do. So it's, you know, and like I said, I ain't taking anything from the game. It's obviously succeeding still. It's fast. It's, you know, high skill, and they're probably, you know, they're doing good numbers on fan attendance, but it's just not for me. And, you know, I have other passions now. You know, I enjoy, you know, doing my things, and so yeah, I don't really waste my time watching hockey that much. But, you know, it's the Final Four, and I'm excited to watch these teams play, especially when there's guys out there that I know, and, I want them to succeed. So I enjoy watching hockey, but even this playoff, I haven't watched one full hockey game. I'll watch the highlights and I'll maybe turn it on for the last 10 minutes, but I haven't watched a full hockey game and I can't remember the last time.
Wow. Okay. Well, maybe you should be pleased by the fact that guys such as Maroon or Revo are actually not healthy scratches for the game, right? Maybe that's a sign that something's changing, because I saw a lot of fights this season compared to like 2018, 17 or something. I think that it's been intensifying ever since. I think that there are more and more hockey fights, which I follow. And most of people that like hockey think I'm really crazy because, for example, seriously, I watch Rangers for Revo. I watch Boston Bruins for Trent Frederick. Seriously, I watch Tampa Bay Lightning for Pat Maroon. I don't really care that much about Stammer or Kucherov. Seriously, and I agree totally with you on this one. Hey, speaking on LNH, most people, well, I think almost no one knows in Poland what that is, and LNH is probably the most brutal, the most violent hockey league there is, and it's strictly like French Canadian. Well, it's not, but it is in Quebec, right?
It's based out of Quebec. Yeah, that's a whole different level of hockey.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of tough men there. They bring guys in that are just there strictly to fight. At the end of the day, I considered myself a hockey player, but I love to fight too.
Hey, they have a reward for the most penalized guy, right? It's like a trophy.
I'm sure I won that award a few times, but no, it was same thing was there. I enjoyed it. I was treated like gold. The fans were some of the best fans. They were passionate about their hockey. They loved the fighting. So it was a great experience to be there too. Wherever I went and played, I always had good. There's not a place that I played where I had a bad experience. Same thing with Russia. I mean, you always hear all these bad stories, but it was awesome. I was invited to their country to play hockey, and they treated me with respect, and I loved it there. The fans, the coaches, the teams, it was awesome, and I think that's a really high caliber hockey league over there. It's one of the best in the world, and so it was a great time to be there and a great opportunity for myself.
It's pretty strange to me, and I think, well, being a hockey fan, I know I'm supposed to get used to it, that like French, I mean, some hockey players speak French, but for example, in Europe, still French is like the language of love, and it's supposed to sound so sexy and smooth and blah blah blah, and then you see LNH, and those guys, like, I saw the documentary is called Drop the Gloves, right, or whatever, and it's about that league, and all of them are speaking French there. It's like, Jesus, it was supposed to be a language of love. And then the first stuff the guy says is like, if you're not hurt after a hockey game, you're probably doing it wrong. so And I saw that documentary. I was really blown away by the LNH, because my question is, can you actually make an honest living, like a good living playing LNH? How does it work?
Well, I was an exception. I was a pretty big fan favorite there, and when there was a few of us, about 5 guys. We were making 6-digit figures, where we were making more than guys in the American Hockey League. But
6-digit figures in LNH?
You betcha.
I think isn't it like it's like the worth of the entire league. It's like the whole organization. Oh, jeez! You could buy after one season. You could probably buy the entire Polish hockey league.
At one point, I was making $3,500 a week there. So you times that by 4. You're making upwards to $14,000 a month, with no bills. I had a free place to live.
Right.
So I did quite well, but don't get me wrong. There were guys there that weren't as fortunate, but I also put a lot of it on the line there, and when I was there for business. So
right.
I was treated really well. Like I said, I have no complaints. I was treated awesome.
Well, that's great. I saw the documentary, and I think there was one African American player he said he was supposed to be like the goal scorer and stuff, and was already targeted by some scouts, but he got to bad company. That's what he said. And after that, he said, like, you dream about being an NHL player or AHL player until you're like 17 or 18, and eventually you kind of review those dreams and just move on with your life, which was probably one of the saddest things I heard from a hockey player. And my question is, how did you ever had that kind of feeling like it's maybe your hockey career is just like, I don't know, it's going nowhere and maybe it's time to stop? And I know you had no regrets, but maybe there was a point in your life when you thought like, fuck, this is not going the direction I wanted, and maybe it's like depressing. And why I've been playing hockey my whole life, and just, you know, and I'm still not in the NHL. I'm still not fucking Ty Domi, Bob Prower, or whatever.
Yeah, no, I always had a good head on my shoulders. You know, when I was in the LNH, like you said earlier, when I decided to quit and go coach when I was 26, you know, it wasn't going my way. It was time to make it come to an end. You know, I was still making good money and enjoying it, but you know, I thought, well, I'm getting older and I'm not moving up in any leagues. You know, the LNH is one of the lower leagues, so that's why I made that decision to go home and coach and, you know, start a new career at home and, you know, possibly go to school while I was coaching and stuff. But then, you know, another opportunity arose, and you know, opportunities keep coming. You know, like I said, I'm going to be 40 here next week, and I just shot my first TV show. So, you know, maybe that's another career path. You know, and it's becoming quite popular here in Canada and the U.S. The TV
So
show
I heard.
Shorzy.
Also, there's this actress. His name is Tasaya Tellis. Correct me if I'm wrong. I probably butchered her name.
Tassia.
Yes, she's known from the show the 100, right? That's why.
She was on the show with me. Yeah, she's a nice girl.
Yeah, nice. Wow. So what's your experience from this Shorzy thing?
It was awesome. I mean, obviously it was something new. It's something that I never really did. You know, playing professional hockey, I was in a few commercials here and there and publicity stuff, but never a TV show. But I was lucky enough to be able to play with two other guys, you know, Jordan Nolan and Brandon Nolan, the two Nolan brothers. You know, Jordan played with the LA Kings and won two Stanley Cups, and, you know, Brandon played a little bit with Carolina Hurricanes, and you know, had to retire at a young age because of concussions. But, you know, being able to hang out with those guys and become friends with those guys, and just even the crew, you know, Jared Kisa, who's the main actor and the producer of Shorzy, you know, a great guy, and just to be able to get that opportunity, you know, not many guys get that opportunity. So, you know, and all these opportunities I'm getting all came through my hockey career. So, you know, so hockey's given me a lot, and I consider myself very fortunate.
That's true. And speaking of, not a lot of people, not a lot of hockey players gain this opportunity, which is of course true. Maybe part of it is that because maybe the sport, and by we I mean the sport fans, players, blah blah blah, we don't have our own version of, let's say, Conor McGregor, for example. Maybe we should have like this hockey player who's also kind of a, I don't want to say a stuntman, or maybe like a showman, or something, because you could put that on the show when you were fighting, don't get me wrong, but maybe like people who could do it like just outside the game, like, I don't know, like Sean Avery, but maybe that's not the best example because he's fuck, did everyone hate him. But but you know, maybe the game lacks like Conor McGregor version of hockey player. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm a little confused on what you're trying to say, to be honest. But you know, just having those showman guys though is important wherever you are, right? Whether it's the NFL or the CFL or the NHL or baseball, you need those kind of people. You know, like I think of the UFC, a guy like Chuck Liddell. You know, he was a showman. You know, people, even though he wasn't the greatest fighter of all time, but people loved him. You know, he was great in front of people. He was great for the fans, and I remember watching him as a young guy, and you know, when Chuck Liddell walked out in the octagon, everyone jumped up and was pumped. You know, so. Yeah. Those head guys are really important to make any sport succeed.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to say. Is like when you have Conor McGregor, who, well, at some point was a very, very good fighter, but most people knew him from outside the cage, like from the TV series, his own whiskey, like putting a lot of shit on other people, like, I don't know, cursing a lot and also the Irish accent when instead of fucking you say fucking, which is so it's so fucking funny to me, and all this stuff. And I see like a lot. There's hockey players are very like I don't know extrovertic when it comes to and very like when you're fighting, like giving it all, right? You can see the emotions, like the anger and all that stuff. After the game, like everything seems so pumped out. Like most players don't really like being interviewed. They don't really like to say anything bad about the opponents. Blah blah blah. Maybe that's what the game is lacking.
Yeah, possibly it is. You know, you do need those colorful guys that are characters. You know, guys like Paul Bissonnette. You know that they're very vocal.
Oh yeah.
Even off the ice, they're promoting stuff. So, yeah, I think that's critical in any sport or any promotion. You know, to have guys like that to make it succeed. And you know, you need guys to hate too, right? I'm sure I was hated by a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
for sure.
A lot of people, you know what I mean. But if I wasn't hated, I wasn't doing my job right. You know. So yeah, I think that's a very pivotal thing to have in any area.
Yeah, I think I showed this. I told my boss, listen, I'm gonna be talking to John Mirasty, and I'm gonna play some videos, and then I showed him his stats and shit, and he said, and he's been like a fan of NHL or hockey in general. It's just like 2014. So the times that you kind of miss, or the times I kind of miss, he only read about them and listen to stories from grandfather and stuff. And then I showed him your stats, and he said, "Was he fucking like gunning people there, or how do you get so many penalty minutes?" Also, I think in a week or two, I'm gonna be talking to Curtis Swenson, who you know, right? And this guy made like at some point. I don't know if that was him on Derek Parker, who made like 1,000, like 500 penalty minutes in like 30 something games. I mean, what the fuck? What the fuck do you have to do? I mean, fighting is one thing, but like, yeah, John Mirasty, give me a recipe for like, what do you do to get as many penalty minutes in one game as you can? What do you do? For example, I know it's different like league wise and shit, so let's say that's AHL. Okay, what do you do to get as many penalty minutes as you can?
Oh, you just got to be busy. You got to be hated, and you got to get under the ref's skin, you know. And you know, sometimes after a fight, you tell the ref to go fuck himself. He'll give you an extra. So you know, just stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true. Wow, that's great. Okay, last thing I want to talk about is Ice Wars, which has been recently a thing in Poland. Are you there? Yeah.
Yeah, you just the International Ice Wars. We actually just had that last week, 2 weekends ago, or was that last weekend in Edmonton, Alberta? I was actually honored to be a judge there. It was fun.
I saw that. I saw that gala.
Yeah. Dean Mayrand and Brad Wingfield were the two other judges, and you know those two guys you just mentioned, Curtis Swanson and Derek Parker, were there, and it was a very cool event. You know, I think it could be improved a lot. I think for the first event that they had, it was okay, but I'm looking forward. I know that they're talking about hosting some more and making it a regular thing. So, hopefully we can learn from the first one and make it better and better for the fans to watch.
Yeah, I saw in a few months, I'm going to be talking to Chris Terrian, whom I was a major fan back in his playing days, because wow, do I love the stay-at-home defenseman as well. So I'll be fortunate to talk to him. But also, so what would you change? I saw that was a small venue and it wasn't like jam-packed and stuff, which was kind of weird for me. I know that's a fairly new thing because that started back in like 2006 or whatever, and now it's revived or whatever. And my question is, how do you see what should the owners do to kind of improve it so that it becomes like a not only the most Canadian MMA thing ever, but just like maybe like a more viral thing?
There was a lot of things that could be improved. I think maybe working more together as a team and recruiting some bigger name fighters.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't a big fan of the synthetic ice.
Yeah.
just like I said, the first one's a kind of a trial and error, right? You don't really know what to expect. I think we could have promoted it a lot better. When I say we, I wasn't really involved in that, but just to get it more out and out in the public's eye to really promote it, to sell more tickets and to sell more pay-per-views. Recruiting, like I said it already, recruiting some big name guys that, maybe some more main event fighters. There's just a lot of different things, organization, just getting that a little bit more organized, maybe a bigger venue. But like I said, I think it did great for the very first one. And you just gotta build from there, and maybe even get feedback from people that watched it or viewed it.
Right.
What you think, what can you do to make it better, and you're always going to have critics, you're going to have people that are going to put it down. But at the same time, if you want to be passionate about it, you just got to keep going forward and work. And like I said, just improve it every time.
Do you have any names in mind that you're sure would agree to take part in this?
Well,
like bigger names?
I don't know. I was thinking of maybe me and Yablonsky trying to get back into our...
Hey, by the way, yeah, you challenged, his name's Amesbury, right?
Yeah.
Are you seriously going to fight him next gala?
Oh, money talks, my friend.
Oh.
I know, I everything's negotiable. Obviously, I think that I could bring a lot more people to the venue, to be honest. So right. The payday's got to be worth it for me. And I'm not a young buck no more. I'd have to train and get ready. But, the fortunate thing is these last few years with COVID, I've been really, taking care of myself and getting in shape. So I wouldn't have much work to do to get into tip-top shape for that. So anything's possible. I'm not going to rule it out, but I'm not going to say it's going to happen. But that's something that I'd have to talk to with the promotion and see if they could make it interesting for me and worth my time.
Right. Well, actually, you could read about this in Polish press, in German press, I think even Ukrainian press, and they're in the middle of the war. So I said that the publicity was there, but maybe right now it's being seen, well, more like a freak fight, right? And you're talking in Poland when you have like MMA galas for drunks, for junkies, for midgets, for LGBT. Seriously, we have separate gala for everything, and I think we have like 2 more federations every week. Seriously, so that's crazy. Hey, are you ever going back to the MMA or not really?
No. I like I said, I'm too old. I like to, when there's opportunities, I like to take them, but I'm enjoying where I'm at right now, and I have a family, and I got a 19-year-old son, and so I like to watch them and spend time with them. So my fighting days are pretty much came to an end, to be honest.
Right. Well, that was a hell of a ride. And my last question is, what does your tattoo say? What does your tattoo say?
Which one?
Yeah.
It's actually my family. It's my wife's name, my son's name, my daughter's name, and my other daughter's name, all in Cree syllabics.
Wow.
I'm Indigenous, First Nation.
Of course.
So it's Indian writings, and it's just got it there, put there last year.
Hey, yeah, so if you don't want to talk about it, we don't have to, but there's a lot of stuff coming here to Poland, like we hear a lot that you guys, and by you guys, I mean Native Americans, African Americans, you guys face a lot of racism in hockey. Was that the case for you?
Oh, I've definitely experienced it, but I think our world's gone too soft, to be honest. I don't believe in using the race card. If someone called me a dumb Indian, I'll say, "Oh, screw you, you dumb white guy." I have tough skin. I don't think it belongs in the game at all. Don't get me wrong. I just think that it's became too much of an issue. Feelings get hurt two-way easily now, and don't get me wrong. I don't promote racism in hockey or anywhere for that matter. I just think that I think that we just got to learn to get along and play the game, and we're all different people, and if you don't like someone, just fight them.
Yeah. Well, the hockey needs you. Don't ever retire, man. Don't ever retire. Well, it's so. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm
Okay.
saying, yeah. So that's really all I have to say. I've definitely experienced it, but I've said some mean things too. And it's a sport, and at the end of the day, we're all just out there to have a good time, and may the best man win. So like I said, when I hear two guys argue, I say, why don't you guys just shut up and fight? Get it over with. That's kind of but I'm old school. I hate when you see all these race cards being used, and just
Right.
it's just play the game and solve it yourself and have fun.
Yeah, I love it. Today's hockey needs you, man. Seriously.
Yeah.
Too bad. You say your fighting days are almost over. Well, thanks a lot, John. I mean, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor, and I hope this is not the last time we're talking.
No, anytime, my friend.
And that was pure pleasure to talk about some old school hockey. And wow, am I gonna remember this one?
I appreciate you having me, my friend. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Okay. Good luck, John, and take care.
Thank you. Cheers, man.